I was 72. At that age, mornings start with aching joints, and breaths feel heavy. My days were predictable, almost to the minute. 6 a.m. I boiled water. The whistle echoed in the empty kitchen. I poured tea and sat on the porch, watching kids in the alley rush to school. I smiled, remembering when I too wore a white uniform, hair tied high, clutching a notebook to my chest. Now those memories feel like an old film, faded but always playing. Lunch was simple, a bowl of rice, some leftover soup. I ate without appetite. The clinking spoon against the bowl only reminded me that no one else sat at the table anymore. Evenings, I turned on the TV for the news, but never paid attention. I dozed off, woke when the screen had already gone black. Every night was the same. People said old age was peace. To me, it felt like being invisible, still here, but no longer noticed. Sometimes my son called. His voice filled the silence. "Mom, are you eating well? Are you okay?" I always answered the same. "I'm fine. Don't worry." The truth was, I wasn't fine. I was tired, often forgetful. But I never told him. I'd spent my whole life hiding how I felt. That night after cleaning up, I sat before the old mirror. It had been with me since I married, its wooden frame worn, glass scratched. I stared at my reflection, cloudy eyes, silver hair, wrinkles marking the map of my life. I whispered, almost confessing, "If I could be young again, just once, I'd sing. I dreamed of that when I was a girl. But then I married, had a child, and never dared to dream again." I laughed softly. The idea of a 72-year-old wanting to be a singer was absurd. Yet tears came, sliding down my cheeks. I wiped them away. And that's when everything changed. The woman in the mirror wasn't old. She was 20. Black hair, smooth skin, bright eyes. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. I touched my cheek. Soft, warm. It was real, not a dream. I stumbled back, shaking, unable to breathe. Then the phone rang. My son. "Mom, I'll visit tomorrow. Should I bring vitamins?" I panicked, eyes fixed on the young face in the mirror. I forced my voice steady. "I'm fine. Just a little tired." I hung up. The house fell silent again. I turned back to the mirror. The girl was still there. She was me. Me at 20. I opened the closet and pulled out an old dress I'd kept since girlhood. I slipped it on. It fit perfectly. I spun once, the skirt flaring, my long hair brushing my shoulders. Tears spilled down my face. I whispered through sobs, "Maybe this time, I won't live for anyone else. Maybe this time, I'll live for me." The next morning, I still couldn't believe what happened last night. I looked into the mirror again. She was still there, the young woman. Black hair, bright eyes, a face full of life. Not a dream. I was 20 again. I sat frozen for a long time, until a knock on the door startled me. My neighbor called out, "Lila, are you going to the market today?" I held my breath, afraid to open the door. My voice, my face, too young. If she saw me, she would panic. I forced my voice low and rough. "I'm not feeling well today. I'll stay in." She laughed. "All right, I'll get you some vegetables then." I whispered a thank you and stood there with tears in my eyes. I couldn't let anyone see me like this. I slipped into the old dress I had tried on the night before. It fit perfectly, hugging this young body. I twirled in front of the mirror. For the first time, I admitted to myself. I was beautiful. I stepped outside. The alley was the same as always. Vendors calling, children laughing, smoke from a neighbor's cooking fire drifting. But this time, I walked with young legs. Light, fast, not the hunched shuffle I'd lived with for years. At the corner, I bought a corn on the cob. The vendor smiled at me. "Student, right? You're so pretty. You must have many admirers." I stumbled over my words, just nodded, and hurried away. I bit into the hot corn, and tears stung my eyes. I hadn't tasted sweetness like that in decades. My phone rang. My son. I froze. "Mom, I'm on my way over. Stay home, okay?" Panic shot through me. If he saw me like this, how could I explain? I forced my voice steady. I have to step out for a bit. Just leave it at the door." He paused, then laughed softly. "Always busy, Mom. All right, I'll drop it off." I hung up, my heart racing. I stood there in the street, corn still in my hand, feeling both terrified and alive. I whispered to myself, "If this is my chance, I won't waste it. This time, I'll live for me." I kept that secret for almost a week. By day, I played the part of a 72-year-old woman. I wrapped my head in scarves, wore long sleeves, moved slowly in the yard. Neighbors nodded politely, never suspecting a thing. When my son visited, he saw the same old mother sitting in her chair, smiling faintly. He asked the same questions. "Mom, are you eating well?" "I am. Don't worry." He had no idea. If I pulled the scarf down, if I let my sleeves fall, he wouldn't see an old woman anymore. He'd see a young girl of 20. The thought alone made my heart pound with fear. At night, I locked the doors, drew the curtains, and faced the mirror. Every time the young face appeared, I felt both joy and dread. I touched my cheek, felt the smooth skin, then pulled back as if it might burn me. I didn't know if this was a blessing or a cruel trick. One evening, I was cleaning an old cabinet and found a notebook. The cover was worn, the pages yellow. My handwriting, shaky but young, filled it. Songs I copied down, lyrics with mistakes, lines blurred by tears from long ago. I turned the pages, my hands trembling. I remembered 18. I was supposed to sing at a school event, but I froze. I stood behind the curtain, listening to others sing. My own voice stuck inside me. I promised myself then, one day I will sing, just once. But then I married, had a child, and the promise was buried. I held the notebook to my chest for a long time. Finally, I switched on the old radio. Static filled the room. Then, by chance, a familiar song, the very one I once dreamed of singing. I stood before the mirror. I drew a deep breath and began. At first, the sound was weak, trembling like a whisper. I almost laughed, thinking I'd forgotten everything. But by the second line, the voice burst out. Clear, young, strong. I stopped, shocked. I covered my mouth, heart racing. That wasn't the voice of a 72-year-old woman. It was the voice of a 20-year-old girl. My voice, the one I had lost for half a lifetime. I tried again, this time the entire verse. The small room filled with sound. My singing was loud enough that I feared the neighbors might hear. I sang and cried all at once. Tears dropped onto the notebook, smearing the old ink. It felt like someone had handed me back the years I thought were gone forever. Then the phone rang. I jumped, quickly shutting off the radio. My hands shook as I answered. My son. Mom, what's that noise? I swear I heard music. I wiped my face and forced a steady voice. Oh, just the radio. Nothing else. He chuckled softly. Good. I'm glad you're listening to music. You should do it more, Mom. I stayed silent a moment, then murmured a quick, yes. When the call ended, I sank into the chair, clutching the notebook to my chest. My heart hadn't slowed. I knew the truth. Once that voice had come out, it wouldn't go back in. I looked into the mirror. The young girl stared back, her eyes alive. I whispered, "I can't hide this forever. It's time to step out, at least once." I couldn't stop thinking after that night of singing in my room. The more I kept the voice to myself, the heavier it felt. I asked myself, if I stepped outside, would I still have the courage? One afternoon, walking through the neighborhood in my 20-year-old body, I saw a small cafe. A sign outside read, "Open mic, anyone can sing." I stood there for a long time. My heart raced. I stepped forward, then stepped back again. A young staff member noticed and smiled. "Want to try singing? Everyone can here." I hesitated, then nodded. Inside, the cafe was warm. 20 or so people, golden light, the smell of coffee. Students laughed and chatted. They looked at me like I was just another young girl among them. I sat in the corner, clutching the old notebook I had brought. My heartbeat was wild. I listened as people took turns singing. Some sang off-key, some sang beautifully. No one cared. They laughed, clapped, welcoming every attempt. Then the host asked, "Anyone else want to try?" Before I knew it, my hand was raised. I didn't understand why. I only knew that if I didn't do it now, I might never do it. I walked to the small stage. The lights were bright, almost blinding. I heard someone whisper, "New face. Haven't seen her before." I gripped the microphone, my hands shaking. I looked out and saw relaxed faces, expectant, not judging. I drew a deep breath. I whispered, "I've never sung here before. Please, just listen." The music started. My voice came out small, shaky, then stronger, clearer. The room fell silent. No chatter, no clinking cups, just my voice filling the air. I closed my eyes and sang the whole song. I sang like I was giving back the years I had lost. Each note pulled memories out of me. Tears slid down, but the voice didn't falter. When the song ended, the cafe stayed silent for a moment. My chest tightened, fearing they would laugh. But then, applause burst out. Loud, warm, unstoppable. Someone whistled. The host grinned. "Amazing! A voice like that should never be hidden." I bowed awkwardly, eyes blurred with tears. I heard a young woman whisper to her friend, "Her voice, it feels like it touches the heart." Back at my seat, my hands still trembled. But inside, I felt something I had never felt before. My whole life, I had never sung in front of others. Tonight, I did. As I left, a staff member pressed a slip of paper into my hand. "We're doing this again tomorrow night. Come back if you'd like." I held the paper tightly, my heart conflicted, terrified of being discovered, but overjoyed in a way I hadn't known was possible. That night in front of the mirror, I whispered, "Dreams never die. I just buried mine too deep." I thought the night at the cafe would just be a small memory. I told myself I would keep it to myself, like a sweet little secret. But life never works that way. The next morning, while I sat on the porch with my tea, my son called. His voice was unusually excited. "Mom, have you been on social media? There's this girl who sang at a cafe. Her voice. It's strange. It reminds me of you. Just like when you used to sing me lullabies." I froze. My hand shook, nearly spilling the cup. I forced myself to answer. "Maybe you're mistaken. There are many good singers out there." He laughed. "No, I mean it. It's uncanny." I hung up quickly, sweat breaking on my forehead. I grabbed my old phone, slowly scrolling. And there it was. A 3-minute clip. Me, in my 20-year-old body, standing on stage with a microphone. Eyes closed, singing like my whole life depended on it. The camera shook a little, but my voice carried through perfectly clear. The video had already spread to tens of thousands of people. I read the comments one by one. Who is this girl? Her voice is haunting. Her eyes, not like a young girl's, like someone who's lived a lifetime. I cried listening. This is rare, a voice from the heart. I sat for hours reading. Each line hit me deeply. Part of me felt joy. After all these years, my voice was finally heard, loved. But another part of me trembled. What if they discovered the truth? That this young singer was actually 72. Later that day, I overheard my neighbor outside, chatting with someone. That new girl online, such a voice, makes me wish I had a youth like that. I stood frozen behind the door, lips pressed tight, heart pounding. That night, I returned to the cafe. As soon as I entered, the staff recognized me. You're the girl from yesterday, aren't you? You're famous now. Your clip is everywhere, I stammered. Someone recorded it? He nodded, eyes wide with admiration. Lucky they did. You were incredible. Everyone's been talking about you. I sat down, clutching my notebook. The host came over. We'd love to have you sing again. People want to know who you are. I smiled weakly, throat tight. I'll think about it. That night, back home, I couldn't sleep. I paced the small room, torn between joy and fear. Joy because for the first time in my life, I was truly heard. Fear, because I knew this secret couldn't last. One slip, one trace, and the truth would destroy it all. I sat in front of the mirror. The young girl stared back, her eyes shining, but also carrying sadness. I whispered, "My voice has awakened, but how long can I hide it?" I never thought one song at a small cafe could turn my life upside down. Within days, the clip was everywhere. Not just my son's friends, but neighbors, too. They huddled together outside, showing each other on their phones. Who is this girl? I've never seen her. Her voice feels like someone who has lived a whole life before singing. I listened from inside my house, sweat beading on my neck. Fear crept in. What if someone recognized the look in my eyes, the way I held the mic? One morning, I received a call from an unknown number. A young man's voice, brisk and professional. "Hello, we're from a music company. We're looking for the mystery singer going viral this week. If that's you, we'd like to offer you a contract and a chance to join a major competition." I froze. My heart pounded. I stammered, "Sorry, you must be mistaken." I hung up quickly, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped the phone. But it didn't stop. The next day, 2 reporters waited outside the cafe where I had sung. They questioned the staff, the regulars. The cafe even put up a handwritten sign. "Will the mystery girl return?" Online, they called me the unknown singer. Articles popped up. A youthful voice with eyes that tell a story. Who is she? They zoomed in on my face from the clip, analyzing every line, every glance. That night, I stayed inside, too afraid to step out. I sat in my room, curtains drawn. In the mirror, the young girl looked back. Bright eyes, but heavy with worry. I touched her cheek and whispered, "If I step into the light, can I keep this secret safe?" The phone rang again. This time it was my son, his voice curious. "Mom, people at work can't stop talking about that singer. Some say she must have trained since childhood. That kind of voice doesn't just happen." I swallowed hard, forcing a smile he couldn't see. "Yes, probably. She's talented." He paused. "It's strange, though. She sounds so familiar. Like I've heard her all my life." I nearly broke down. My lips trembled, but I stayed silent. I couldn't tell him. That night I played the video again, watched myself. Young, singing, but with eyes carrying decades of pain and joy. I didn't know whether to rejoice that my dream had come alive, or fear the day the truth would break. I opened my old music notebook and wrote, "If they knew the truth, would they still clap? Or would they laugh at a 72-year-old woman dreaming of being a singer?" The pen shook in my hand. My voice had awakened. The world had heard it. And now, I stood at a crossroads. Step into the light or turn away to protect the secret. Either way, I knew the rest of my life would never be the same. My phone barely stopped ringing. Morning, noon, night, all unknown numbers. Some claimed to be reporters, some from entertainment companies, others only left short messages. "We want to meet you." I never answered. I was afraid, but part of me was curious. Every day I saw news about me. Online articles, YouTube videos, music forums. They called me many names. The mystery singer, the strange voice, the young girl with old eyes. Some comments made me tremble. This voice can't belong to an ordinary girl. In her eyes, I see a whole life lived already. Who is she? Why does no one know anything? I read and shook. Sometimes I laughed through tears. Sometimes I couldn't breathe. One morning, I went to the market in my 72-year-old form. At the vegetable stall, I heard women talking. "There's a young girl online, sings like a dream." I saw it too. Her eyes are sad, like someone older. She'll be famous one day. I clutched the bundle of greens, heart racing, praying they wouldn't look too closely at me. When I got home, I saw an envelope at my door. I opened it. Inside was a letter from a major music company. Formal words, bold print. "We believe you can become a star. Please allow us to represent you." Attached was a contract, several pages thick. I sat at the table, staring, my vision blurred. I had dreamed of this all my youth, but I had never imagined holding it in my hands. And now that I did, I was terrified. I spent hours staring at the words. Memories filled me. 18 years old, trembling backstage, never daring to sing, rocking my child to sleep, singing quietly in the dark, never for myself. Years of burying that dream until I believed it was dead. That night, I sat before the mirror again. The young girl stared back at me, lips pressed, eyes bright. I whispered, almost begging, "Lila, you've waited all your life for this. But if you step into the light, everything will be revealed. Are you ready?" The girl in the mirror didn't answer, but her eyes pushed me forward. The phone rang. My son again. His voice was curious, pressing. "Mom, everyone at work keeps talking about that mystery singer. I've watched the clip a dozen times. It feels so familiar, like it's you." I froze, then forced a laugh. "Don't be silly, that's not me." He was silent, then spoke softly. "I wish you could sing to me again. Just once, like you used to." Tears spilled down. I couldn't speak. I muttered quickly, "It's late. I should sleep." I hung up and cried into my hands. The weight in my chest was unbearable. I knew I was at a crossroads. I read the letter again, tracing each line. Happiness and fear tangled together. One side was the stage, the light, the dream. The other was the safety of silence. I pressed my hand to my chest and whispered, "If I step out, I may lose everything. But if I turn away, I will lose myself. That night I stayed in front of the mirror until dawn. No sleep, no food, just staring at the young girl, asking silently, what will I choose? The night of the performance came closer, and I couldn't sleep. Each night I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. I was terrified, yet thrilled. For the first time in my life, I would stand on a grand stage before thousands of people. Backstage was chaos, lights glaring, staff rushing, makeup artists brushing powder, hands adjusting costumes. I sat in a corner, clutching my old notebook, too afraid to meet anyone's eyes. A young staff member leaned down and whispered, "Don't worry, they're all here to hear you sing tonight." I forced a smile. My heart thundered in my chest. When the MC announced my name, applause roared. I walked out. The lights blinded me. Before me, a sea of faces, thousands strong. My knees trembled, almost giving way. I gripped the microphone, palms slick with sweat. I closed my eyes and whispered to myself, "Just sing, like at the cafe. Just sing." The music began. I opened my mouth. The first note shook, unsteady. But then I poured everything into it. A voice of 20, but carrying 72 years of living, of joy, of sorrow, of loss. I sang as if it were my last chance. The audience fell silent. No movement, no sound, only my voice filling the hall. When the final note left me, the silence held for a breath. Then the hall erupted. Applause crashed like thunder. People stood, cheering, clapping until their hands hurt. I bowed, tears streaming. For the first time I was seen, truly seen. But even in the cheers, I caught whispers. Her eyes, they're not a young girl's. It's like she's lived too long. Who is she? Why does no one know? I froze. My chest tightened. My secret trembled on the edge of discovery. After the show, reporters swarmed me backstage. Microphones pushed toward me, questions flying. Where are you from? How long have you studied? Why has no one ever heard of you before? I smiled faintly, giving short, vague answers. I sing, because I love to sing. My manager pulled me aside, whispering sharply, "Say no more. Let them stay curious." But I saw suspicion in some eyes. They were looking too closely. They felt something didn't add up. That night I returned home. I sat in my small room, opened the window, listened to the hum of the city. I faced the mirror. The young girl looked back, eyes glowing from the stage lights, but heavy with the weight of 72 years. I set the notebook down and whispered, "I sang. I lived my dream. If tomorrow the truth comes out, I will not regret it." And for the first time in many years, I smiled through tears, a real smile.